we need to consider the Ravens as potential Super Bowl champions this year. They may have made the move to put them over the top, ladies and gentlemen. The Ravens extend John Harbaugh to a 3-year deal through the 2028 season at this point. Feels like the AFC North is, in some respects, kind of it's like a coach's dream. Like you're just secured. You're there forever. It's been there since '08, so 20 years that John Harbaugh is currently extended through. Does this move the needle for the Ravens? Obviously, he's been the guy for almost 20 years now. It'll be 20 with the extension. To me, it's kind of a situation of the grass isn't always greener, right? Like this, let's just stick with what we've got. Let's make the pieces work. Kind of hope the ball bounces our way. Things will fall into place type of situation, as opposed to, all right, John, we've seen enough. Boot you. Then you're in a bear situation with the coaches, or you don't want to find yourself in a 5 years and 5 coaches type of situation. I think this was the right play.
Yeah, I think it's the right play, but you probably said the most polarizing thing as a host so far, saying that the Ravens are making the next step to the Super Bowl by keeping Harbaugh, because I think there are two sides of the Ravens fans for sure that are like, love Harbaugh and get Harbaugh the hell out of Baltimore. I feel like there is a very strong case for both. Now, I will say this.
Same thing with Mike Tomlin, probably.
Right, and I was about to say that. You talk about the AFC North. You get Mike Tomlin, you have John Harbaugh. Those guys are like mainstays in this division, and I think that's because of how Harbaugh, and I would probably assume that Tomlin's the same way, how they've changed the way that they've coached. Now, Tomlin might have been this the entire time, but we can't say the same thing about John Harbaugh. Harbaugh, when he was starting off with Baltimore, if you remember, he was getting guys like Ray Lewis. He was getting guys like Shane. I almost said Shane Falco. What is this? The replacements? Joe Flacco. He almost got fired back then because he was making those veterans upset. He was not becoming that type of coach. His entire chemistry of coaching changed and became a player's coach. And I think that's why he's still around. Now, there was some rumors, I believe in 2018, if I remember, where he was going to get fired or maybe even shipped off to, I think, Miami. I think I heard this as a rumor once, where Harbaugh was going to be traded to the Dolphins. But I think he's got the player's side right now. And if a certain player, and that certain player's name is Lamar Jackson, wants you to be his coach, then I don't think Harbaugh is going away anytime soon. And there is no way that Baltimore's front office was going to let Harbaugh be a lame duck coach for this season, right, having Lamar Jackson, what he did this past season, arguably being the MVP. You could make that decision. He won the All-Pro. He missed the MVP from Josh Allen. I think either could have won that award. I'll go there. But you can't have him on an expiring contract, because what if they do good and then all of a sudden somebody goes poaches him? Or if they don't do good, then you have all these question marks. Well, you can let him go. Take that thought process out of the head and let them focus on the ultimate goal. So I do love the extension, but I know Baltimore fans are probably up in airs, probably ready to get back on the bus, pack everything up, and ship that team back up to Indianapolis.
Yeah, it's well, I don't know is it longitude or latitude? Look
the
at
other
us.
way.
We're not a geography.
Yeah,
this isn't a geography show. Literally. I use Apple Maps just to go to the store. So I mean, it is what it is. But when you look at the the kind of the coaching history of Harbaugh, I wonder, is there an argument that he's not quite as strong as he was? Just a quick walkthrough of his 17 years. First 4 makes it either to the championship or divisional game in the AFC. Then they win the title in 2012, finish first in the AFC North. Then they go back and forth. They miss the playoffs and they lose in the divisional game. Miss the playoffs 3 years in a row. They do finish second in the AFC North for those last 2. And then in 2018 is where things are kind of starting to heat up again. They make the playoffs 6 of the last 7 years, but they're eliminated in the wild card game 2 of those years with only 1 championship appearance, AFC championship appearance. I mean, to me, it's one of those, when I'm looking at that, you can look at it in a bunch of different ways and you can keep all of these things in mind. But Lamar is just such a generational talent and player that it's like, I think you could put Lamar let's say on the Panthers, and they'd be in a run, especially in the NFC South, they'd be in a run for the playoffs and potentially a divisional game. So is Harbaugh still at that same caliber of coaching? Are the Ravens fans justified in wanting him booted out of town?
No, I think you could make a fair point of saying that Harbaugh might not be the guy that can get Lamar and the Ravens a Super Bowl again. 13-11 is his playoff record. And you mentioned it, the first half of his playoff career, first half of his coaching career, he won the Super Bowl. He made it to the AFC Championship game. A lot of those wins came in the first, 5-6 years of his coaching tenure. He's in year, I believe, 17 now, as you mentioned,
That sounds
with the Ravens. I mean, so a lot of those losses have come on the right
on the back
side
end.
as of late. So I think that there is definitely an argument for it. But who are you going to have him replace? Are you going to have Todd
Oh,
Monken
yeah.
do it? I mean, Todd Monken would be, he's a great coach. Don't get me wrong. And I'm sure there's a lot of Baltimore Ravens fans and sports fans just alike that don't want to see him leave Lamar Jackson. But he's had a lot of interviews for other coaching spots over the last couple of years, and he's still with Baltimore. That tells you something. That tells you something in my mind. So maybe he's not head coach material, or maybe there's something missing there. And in my mind right now, as we sit, I don't know who you would replace John Harbaugh to ensure, because the window for Baltimore is wide open. They were very close to beating Buffalo last year. They were in the AFC Championship just 2 years ago. The window is wide open for Baltimore. They're just missing it by just slightly. And the AFC is so hard anyways.
It's very tough.
So I don't think there's anyone that can replace him, at least right now. There's at least no one on the open market where you're like, that's the guy that can surely replace Harbaugh and get us to the next level. If you think there's somebody, maybe I'm missing someone. If you think it, let me know in the comments, because I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, I was going to say down in the comments below is a great spot. Or maybe it's just Jim Harbaugh. Maybe it is one of the brothers. Maybe we swap them.
I saw this now that you brought that up. I think it was Ian Rappaport that dropped this knowledge, this little rap bomb, if you will. And he said that that was a terrible one. He said that he's getting paid more than Jim Harbaugh with this new extension. And last time I checked, Jim Harbaugh was making over $20 or $18 million a year. Andy Reid's the highest paid coach in the NFL. He makes $20 million a year. I think Jim is around 18-ish. So that means that his new extension's got to be over 18. And I think that puts him as the third highest, because there's Sean Payton in there somewhere as well. So I think John Harbaugh is now the third highest paid coach in the NFL.
Which is awesome. I mean, that's just cool. Give the man his money. It's 17 years at a job. I'm not barely even 17 years old. I am. But, bro, in 08, I was 7.
We're going to put the NR17 rating up on our top corner now because of that comment. When we have to check mark, is this made for kids? No, but it was made by a kid.
Made by a child.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah. But that's just so long. It's like, it is crazy to think about the NFC North. Or AFC North,
I was still in high school in 08, so I mean I wasn't even in the military yet, didn't even do college. I mean, yeah, it's a long time ago.
It's wild,
Yeah, it's definitely a long time ago. And but it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like he's been the coach for 17 years. If you would have asked me that question without us looking up and researching, I would have said 10, maybe. It's just because it just went so fast. But he's won a Super Bowl. He's done some great things. Now, those defenses were ecstatic. They were amazing back then. Now he's got Lamar. It's a completely different side of the puzzle. And I will say, in 2012, the AFC wasn't the same as it was in 2025. It was the Ravens and it was like the Patriots, right? Like that was really the only two teams. There was no Kansas City Chiefs dynasty then. There was no what the Bills are doing right now, what the Bengals do in their division as of late, what the Steelers have done. I mean, they have a gauntlet just to get to the playoffs in the AFC North. So the fact that they've at least made it to the AFC Championship in the last couple of years, they've been just a few games away every single year with Lamar at your quarterback. I don't think Harbaugh's the problem.
I was just going to ask.
I don't think that's the case. Find a way to bolster your defense a little more. Find a way to, and I hate to say this, but you got to find a way to beat Mahomes and beat Allen, because those are the only two teams.
Maybe Burrow, depending on the matchup.
That's true, but we don't know about Burrow's defense as of right now. I
Yes.
think Burrow's a step back because what we saw this past year. Does the Bengals make the playoffs? Maybe. Are there going to be 3 teams in the AFC North to make the playoffs this year? Quite possible, but it all depends on what the Bengals defense is all about. Because right now, I'm pretty sure they have a couple applicants on LinkedIn looking for a defensive end, a linebacker, looking for low pay, entry level pay.
I'll do it. If they want
I
me
mean,
out there, I will do it for sure. I got one more question for you on that front.
okay.
It's something that popped in my brain. You talk about these long tenured coaches, right? Like Mike
Yep.
Tomlin is the first one that everybody thinks about, winning season for the last 9,000 years and
Yeah.
and whatnot. But then like Bill Belichick, gosh, you just said his name earlier. The Broncos, Sean Payton,
Sean Payton. Yeah.
guys like that, right? Like they have these long, illustrious careers. Obviously, bro, it's just getting too late. I can't think of his name from who's the Kansas City. I
Andy
should know this.
Reid.
Andy Reid.
Nuggies, baby.
Andy Reid.
Nuggies.
Andy
All about the Fumblerooskies.
Underooski.
Yep.
Andy Reid, like he split kind of between Eagles and the Chiefs, but
Yep.
is John Harbaugh on that level or not? That is the basis of this question. When you think of those coaches that have played or coached, excuse me, for so long, is he in that level?
I would say yes, but if you ask the majority of people, if you put this out in the universe and every single NFL fan in the world could answer it, I would
think they'd say
assume
no.
I would assume the majority, and I think it'd be close. Let's go like a 54-46% would be no. And only because you would think it would be recency bias. I think it'd all be about recency bias. You'd forget about 2012. You'd forget about the AFC Championship games. You'd only think about the present right now and the fact that Lamar has not given you a Super Bowl with Harbaugh at the helm. So I would say yes, personally, as a fan of the game and a ball knower, Christian Rao.
Certified ball knower.
Certified. Yep. I got it on paper somewhere, signed by my daughter in Crayola. It's purple, so it's official. What I will say, yeah, it's purple. It's purple. It's got to be purple. But what I will say is I would assume that the majority of fans would say no. 54-46. It'd be close, though.
I'd be curious. We should put out a poll. I don't know if we'll be able to get every single NFL fan, although if you're listening, be sure to share it with your NFL friends because that's what we're trying to get the polls to that many people so we can find out what do the people really think.